Stem cells are undifferentiated biological cells that use a process called differentiation, which produce them into specialized cells. Stem cells are found in three different forms: embryonic stem cells, which come from embryos, embryonic germ cells, which come from testes, and adult stem cells, which can be taken from bone marrow. These forms can then divide using mitosis to produce more stem cells. Stem cell therapy in humans is the use of stem cells to treat or prevent a disease or condition in a particular place of the body, such as the brain, heart, or skin. How the stem cell acts as a typical biological cell is differentiation, the process where the stem cell becomes a specific biological cell type. Differentiation is where the stem cell is exposed to specific biochemical cues in either experimental or physiological. When the stem cells are placed in a specific part of the human body where needed, such as the brain or heart, a biochemical cue in that area will then stimulate the stem cells to grow into specific cells needed in that location. The main aim of stem cell studies for stem cell therapy in humans is to control the cell differentiation. If this is achieved, scientists are able to create any tissue or organ in the body from a single specialized stem cell. Research on controlling the cell differentiation would include looking at many biotechnology applications, which include biological factors, stem cell genetics, and stem cell physiology. Main uses of stem cell therapy include modifying original stem cell genetic makeup to produce factors such as insulin. Stem cells can be modified to resist certain viruses. For example, studies are underway to create stem cells resistant to HIV. Once implanted, these stem cells would repopulate the diseased immune system of AIDS patients with cells resistant to the disease. Replace damaged, mutated, or diseased or dead cells. Once the stem cell has been introduced into a particular site of the body, it can differentiate it to act as those particular cells would, and then form the neutral connections that those cells would produce with the surrounding tissue. This type of stem cell therapy research is very important to the studies of Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's. The advantages of stem cells is that stem cells have enormous potential in health and medical research. Studies in mammals have shown that stem cells can be manipulated by its environment to produce cells that differentiate into cells of other tissue type. In the past 10 years, many studies have been conducted to show human embryonic stem cells can be used to replace damaged tissues by transplants. This method includes the cells being cultured in a lab and induced to differentiate. Specific stem cells such as embryonic stem cells benefit society as a whole, as these cells can help cure multiple diseases that affect many societies and cultures, such as diabetes, Parkinson's, and heart disease. Stem cells benefit the pharmaceutical industry. New drugs can be tested on stem cells to assess their safety before testing on animals and humans. The disadvantages is the biggest risk in any developing form of medical research is not knowing the full long-term effects of the study. Religious groups are against stem cell research because the research that is conducted requires the destruction of the embryos that are used, which they believe is a form of abortion. A number of studies have found that the injection of embryonic stem cells result in minor miscalculations, resulting in the growth of teeth, bones, or hair growing in places that were not intended to be grown in. The use of embryonic stem cells requires a long life use of drugs, and studies have shown that using embryonic stem cells can produce tumours from rapid growth when injected into adult patients. In the mid-1800s, scientists discussed that cells were basically the building blocks of life, and that some cells had the ability to produce other cells. Scientists tried to fertilize mammal eggs outside of the human body for the first time. Then in the early 1900s, scientists discovered that cells had the ability to generate other cells, in this case blood cells. In 1968, the first bone marrow transplant occurred. It was used to treat two siblings who had diseased with autoimmune deficiency.
Created using Powtoon.